a feminist, as you all know, and I really respect the opinions of women. And that's why I'm here in this woman's only gym to ask them what they think about my brand new product, Fireblood. People often come up to me and say, Andrew, you're so tall and strong and smart and funny and charismatic and extremely rich. What supplements do you take? And I explain that coffee and cigars are the only supplements I've ever needed, but perhaps as I get old, I should look into them. So I decided to do a little bit of market research, and I was very disappointed by what I saw. All of these supplements are full of chemicals I can't name, I don't know what they are, or they're full of flavorings. I thought, why can't you have a product which is only the things your body needs? Why can't you only have vitamins and minerals and amino acids? And if you're gonna do that, why not have loads of them? I've never understood, girls, if you don't mind, I've never understood why you would have 100% of your vitamin B2 when you can have 7,692% of your vitamin B2. Along with your vitamin B6 and your iodine, magnesium, zinc, copper, all the amino acids, niacin, folic acid, vitamin A, it goes on and on. In one convenient scoop with absolutely no flavorings whatsoever. Surely, Andrew, you're a business genius. What? Who hasn't thought of taking all the minerals and all the vitamins and all the amino acids and putting them in a fantastic, easy-to-use product with no flavorings whatsoever? So I've created it, Fireblood, and we're here to see what women think of it at this Girls Only Gym. So girls, this is Fireblood, this is my product. Please give us a very honest review. Girls love it. They love it. Don't listen to what girls say. They don't mean it. They love it. And that's the best thing about Fireblood, because you know what? Life is pain. Everything good in life is going to be pain. When you go to the gym, you're supposed to suffer. Every single good thing that's going to come to you in life is going to come through pain. Your supplement, what is good for your body, is never going to taste like cookie crumble. It's never going to taste like strawberry cotton candy. And if that's what you want, you are probably gay. If you are a man and you want to be as strong as humanly possible with no garbage, only the things your body needs, then you need to get used to pain and you need to get used to suffering. And only that way will you ever become a fraction of my power and manage to achieve Fireblood. Fireblood tastes disgusting because it's good for you, and like everything beneficial in life, it's hard to swallow. Fireblood is the most disgusting product you can buy, but contains every vitamin, mineral, and amino acid required for muscle growth. Your stomach may ache a little bit after consuming Fireblood if you are a dork. If you prefer supplements which taste of cookie crumble but are full of junk, you should probably get an AIDS test because you are gay.
It's not good at all, it's very disgusting. I really feel to throw up when I'm drinking.
Do you want a supplement that makes you strong, or do you want a supplement that tastes like candy because you're fucking gay?
So America privatized the dollar, and the government does have an element of the dollar, a tiny percentage of it called cash, and they profit from the creation of cash, but it's less than, like, M0 is less than 3% of the money supply. Now, when the government or the Federal Reserve got involved in quantitative easing, now you've got this private organization that the government can hire the board, but again, the shareholders of that institution are the banks. So the dollar is fully privatized, and the problem here is that this is the scam of this isn't capitalism. You got a privatized dollar that is printed as a loan, and so therefore the bank gets to keep the interest on the dollar. It's a debt-based Ponzi scheme, so you have to continually create more debt. But then, when you create those debt, you have things like Big Beautiful Bill, which is how you siphon it off to the corporation. And so if you don't own shares in that company as an American, then you don't benefit from that upside. However, if the government does actually become a shareholder, there's an element of socializing the profit across all Americans, which didn't exist before, which sounds like socialism and communism. But obviously, Americans have been taught that that what they have is capitalism, when really they were just socializing the profits to the corporation without the government becoming a shareholder. And therefore, they're rallying against the concept of, well, let's have a collective share for all the American people, rather than the quote unquote capitalism, which is socialism for the company.
We just got a video from Howard Lutnick as well. He said this. He said that the benefit of allowing the 600,000 Chinese students into America means that Americans will be able to go to universities that perform worse and stop them from closing down. So basically, Americans can go to worse schools to keep them from closing down. That was Howard Lutnick's rationale behind why this was a benefit. So Americans can go to shit schools.
I think that's what
But
I said. Chinese are paying more for these colleges, so it's just part of feeding the endowment funds with Chinese money.
yeah, I mean, foreign students do pay more. Ryan, thanks for joining us. Either jump in with the conversation that we're speaking about, or there's a 3 or 4 different topics we're talking about. We're talking about the double tap that happened in the Nasser hospital, killing journalists and doctors. We're talking about the executive order about burning the American flag. We're talking about Trump allowing 600,000 Chinese students in, and we're talking about the US turning into a police state.
Did you see the Florida license plates with the Israeli flag on it?
Oh, yep, did see that, yeah.
Also, I don't see how the government investing in a company is like, oh, now you benefit. You aren't the government. That doesn't trickle back to you if the government profits off a corporation by investing in it, as the government. You're not the government. That's socialism. It doesn't help you at all. It just makes everything more expensive.
Yeah, I guess the concept here is that they're already doing it. So the Biden administration has signed off on a $50 billion CHIPS Act, but they were just going to give the money to Intel. But now the government's kind of building their asset base. But I do agree, there's no direct redistribution. They'll just use that in order to leverage more and make the government bigger.
Yeah, I agree with you.
It just gives them more control over the company. That's all. Like, you are furthering the marriage between corporation and state. That's all that happens there. Already, like when they allocate money to a company, the congressman will go and invest in the company, and then they give them the money and then drive the stock price up. So individually, the people in the know, and it ought to be considered insider trading, like Pelosi style, they'll get money. You ain't getting shit. Your money is being used to subsidize whatever the government decides it wants to subsidize, which it invests in and it profits from. You don't get shit.
Yeah, well, the theory is like if you take like Saudi, they don't charge their people tax because they got a sovereign wealth fund, and so therefore they're able to invest all their resources that are nationalized as an alternative for tax. But I don't think that's what's going to happen in America. I think they're going to basically keep the assets, continue to tax.
Right.
Yeah,
We're not losing taxes, though.
yeah, exactly. So that it's not being offset by saying let's reduce the amount of tax that people need to pay. But if they did say, okay, we're going to use these assets and then Americans pay less tax, it's a movement towards that model. But that's not what's happened here because America has the world reserve currency, so it has a twin deficit, and its largest export is dollars and financial assets.
Like, if a company made good chips, people would invest in it because it sells chips, and so it'd be worth an investment. But if it doesn't, and it needs money from the government to succeed, then there's nothing to drive it to perform because it knows it's bailed out. It's like, well, we have the government. This is ludicrous. And then you're not cutting taxes. So I don't agree with this at all.
Do you not think it diffuses, I guess, the power, being fully localized with the corporate side, with the corporation being fully in control of potentially the future of American chips? I know they'll probably yeah. Go on.
And
No,
the
yeah,
argument is
No,
that
that's not how it works.
if this
Y'all have this weird division of like the government versus the corporation. Like,
yeah. I know what
the
you're saying.
government is the corporation in this case.
Yeah,
It is not. A corporation needs to be driven by we have to perform or we fail. That's what drives the market. Like, we have to compete with someone who does it better than us. You don't have to compete if you're the chosen one with the government backing you. You're not going to get good chips out of this.
Yeah, and the theory is that there couldn't be a hotter sector, that in literally the most valuable company in the world or in America is Nvidia. And so if Intel can do what Nvidia do, there is trillions of dollars in private capital that would be pushed into that, but it's lost 90% of its share price because it's an absolute shit company. And it's not like it's a shit area, a dying sector. It's the hottest sector in the world, in the state, competing with the hottest company in the world. And so if there is unlimited capital, if they could just do what they said they're going to be able to do.
The reason it's shit is not because of a lack of capital. The reason it's shit is because it's able to suck on the government tit. It's shit because it doesn't have the people
Yeah,
that know what the fuck they're
it's a
doing.
bailout basically. It's basically they're bailing it out. It's just money laundering in a way.
I mean, I could take over the hot dog market or whatever at a grocery store if I didn't have to pay for it. You know, the government did it. I'd wipe out all the competition, but you'd have shitty hot dogs,
So it's basically just
but they'd be 5 cents. So I win,
well,
like, yeah, but
it's just a good
who
day for
wins?
Intel basically, and not much else. And then some insiders in the government, like you said.
Well, the better deal would have been
This
Trump to just
idea
pull
of
out.
like some benevolent government that's just going to redistribute wealth out of it, out of its love for the people or something, like, it's shit. Like, socialism doesn't work. You can't have taxes and corporate favoritism. Like, this is cronyism on steroids.
I don't know. I was kind of a fan of how China treated Jack Ma. I think oligarchs should be kept in their place when they get to unreal.
Yeah, but how did Jack Ma get to the position he was in the first
Well,
place?
yeah, I do believe in some level of capitalism. I believe in capitalism. I just feel like it should be having checks and balances. Like American food is banned in 30 countries. It's they poison you with poison ingredients in American food. So there's some
But that's
level.
because
Yeah.
the government subsidizes the corn industry and stuff. Like, that result wouldn't exist if the government hadn't fucked with the market in the first place.
Well, it's mainly because of European regulations. It bans poison in the food, but I guess that's the subsidizing also.
But
Incompetence as
why
well.
is there so much corn syrup in the
Yeah,
food? Because the corn industry is subsidized by the state.
they're fucking you on two ends on that point.
The reason the corn industry is subsidized by the state is because where is it grown? Out in the Midwest, and you have a big block of senators. Every state gets 2 senators automatically that want the corn industry subsidized. So it is. So corn syrup's in everything.
Yeah, but it's not just
Ryan,
corn syrup.
I agree with you. I agree with you to a point. When it's dependent on the government, yes, it's bad. But Switzerland, for example, buys stock, and it's actually what keeps their currency up fairly high, which is not a bad thing because those companies aren't dependent on Switzerland to help them out when they're in trouble. I think that's where the problem comes in. Is this is a shitty company who basically what we were talking about before, where protectionism of copyrights and trademarks harm American companies, unlike China, which gets to innovate much faster. Intel was super bad at doing that. They did very anti-competitive tactics in order to stop AMD from competing with them. And guess what? People started looking elsewhere, and they didn't want to be controlled by one company. And this is exactly what happened. And someone came around and innovative and took them out of the picture. I don't think they're ever coming back, to be honest.
I don't think it's because of too strong copyright laws. We need copyright laws. China is parasitic on other people being able to steal their shit and make it better because they have 1.5 billion people. They ought to be the ones making the best stuff. They have the most personnel. It just makes sense. Like, China, like, think of football teams, whatever. If you've got a billion people to draw athletes from versus 100 million. Like, who's going to have the better team? China should be whooping everyone's ass. They should be whooping everyone's ass a lot more, but they have too much government intervention.
But then that's saying that India should be whipping everyone's ass just because they have more people.
They should. Right. But they don't have their shit together. If you reversed it and you had 300 million Chinese and 1.5 billion Americans, guess who would have the chip industry?
The one with the better education system.
Well, Taiwan has the
Yeah, that's an element as well, but a lot of it is also just the population. That's why, New York outcompetes Arkansas. It does matter how many people you have to draw from to get professional classes out of.
Simon.
I'm sorry to piss on the socialist parade, but like this is what I do.
No, it was good. I'm glad you came in to just push back on the positions that were being released. Simon, what's your thoughts on what Ryan's going to say? Because I think you were very much for it, right?
No, the
And
deal here.
Switzerland too doesn't spend $6 trillion on imperial escapades for wars for Israel. Like, if the United States simply just didn't do that, if we didn't spend trillions with a T fighting wars in the Middle East and just absolute bullshit the government wastes your money on, imagine what our cities would look like. Imagine what the infrastructure could look like if we weren't paying for Israel's health care, and Israel's wars and Israel's defense systems and Ukraine's and so on. Like, that's where the waste is.
You make a
It's in the
good point.
DOD.
You make a good point. Yeah. If they didn't raise, I think 31 trillion on all this garbage, who knows? Who knows where they could be? They could be the future. Yeah.
And really, it's probably more, like I said, 6 trillion or whatever. We don't know the cost of it, because it's not only what we spent on war, it's what we didn't get by like, imagine no war in Iraq, Syria, that like we just bought the damn oil or whatever and invested in it. How rich the Middle East would be, how rich the United States would be. But instead, because of a Zionist parasite, we're starving children to death.
Yeah.
Blown up.
Ironically, they
And
could be more
stronger
socialist.
partners, Ryan. Right? Like, I think China has stronger alliances than U.S. does, because although they put a lot of countries in debt and then wind up, working out deals with them, they still get the resources that they want without putting military on the ground and killing people. So they wind up creating better alliances, whether advantageous or not, than the U.S. The way the U.S. does it.
Yeah, most countries are like that. I mean, Japan and Korea aren't invading people either. They just invest and work and look. They have beautiful infrastructure. They have wonderful states because they're not spending all this money on war. They're not propping up NATO. They're not, there hasn't been a year of my life where we weren't at war with somebody. We meaning the United States. Like, that's the sinkhole. We invaded Grenada. I mean, goddamn. It's just useless. It's a useless parasite, but it helps Lockheed Martin, I guess. And it's like these companies like Lockheed, almost all of the revenue is state contracts. It's all government and corporation married at the hip. Your MIC that you hate so much, that's socialism. That's your actual government investment in companies, is the military industry. And look at it. It's totally out of control. And they waste trillions of dollars. And now you're like, hey, let's put the government in the computer industry. What could go wrong?
I think we're in for at least 20 years of war, to be honest. Just one of these factors would give us like decades war.
Dude, we were at war with Afghanistan for 21 years. It's past 20. You mean 20 more years?
Yeah, I mean 20 more.
But Jared, the war is factored into the economy. Like, Lockheed Martin has to maintain its profits, and peace is not as profitable, and so America has to find war always, because as long as the military industrial, and that's why I think it's interesting now, the military industrial complex is changing. But you have to appreciate that the dollar, in order to export the dollar globally and be the world reserve currency, you need to export debt globally. and the war is one
No, you just
mechanism.
have to be easy to liquidate. Like Lockheed Martin's profits do not have to go up. It's not like that money disappears. Like if you don't put it in Lockheed, you might have put it in Boeing or you might have put it in whatever. It's not like it disappears. It still goes to some other industry in America. Like we do not have to create war profiteering. The reason there's war profiteering is because it's a sure shit investment. Like the congressman invest in Lockheed Martin, Halliburton, KBR, blah, 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 Northrop Grumman, blah, all those things, and then go start a fight. And it says like guaranteed demand for your product. Well, we need more missiles. Why? Because we just bombed someone else. Like it's not, you don't have to prop that up.
No,
They don't have
yeah,
to have their stock price go up because if it doesn't go up, then where did the money go? It's not like, oh, well, now it's all in Kuwait or something. It's like, no, it's still in America. It's just put in something else.
no, I agree, but
It's from investors.
but the assumption there is that America's sovereign, and America's not sovereign. The military-industrial complex lobbies the government. The government creates a mechanism for printing the money and laundering it through to military companies. So it's
Oh,
socialism.
I know.
Yeah, but so
Well, that is socialism.
exactly, but that is the American model. The Federal Reserve System was a mechanism for turning capitalism into socialism, but socialism for large corporations. And
Like actual socialism.
yeah, yeah,
I don't know what the other kind of socialism is, the fantasy kind, but actual socialism, like there is no element that like the government's going to be benevolent and take your money and help the poor or something. I mean, I guess welfare is socialism to a degree. I don't have a problem spending money on the handicapped and stuff like that, but that's the majority welfare isn't that. The majority welfare is corporate welfare or paying perfectly able-bodied people to sit on their ass. Like I would just scrap it, put them on workfare like other states
Would you
have.
support free
yeah,
education?
but the other side of that is fundamentally how the dollar is structured is it has to export debt and it has to get the government deeper into debt continually. And that's the structure of the dollar. That's the structure of America. That is the whole system. It has to
That
continually
is
export debt.
every state has massive debts, just not the size of the U.S., but they're all in debt. Everybody in Europe's in debt. Japan's in debt. They're all in debt. They all do the same crap there because it's easier than raising taxes. Inflation is like a more subtle way of raping people. I don't have a problem with the government spending money on anything. Like we should have a post office, property taxes pay for public school, police departments. That's all fine. What we have to separate is the government getting involved in corporations. Like this isn't a public service. This isn't the sewage or something like that. This is like they are selecting who wins and who loses in the market. That's a big problem.
Well, Biden did that because the
Yeah, I know he did. Fuck him.
but Biden actually like did what if you don't want to have the combination of corporate and state, Biden just gives money because America has to structurally increase its debt forever. So the government debt has to increase. Otherwise, you have a depression and the dollar shrinks because that's structurally.
What do you think they inflate the dollar to make debt easier to pay?
Exactly. That is the model. They're trying to inflate away the debt. And so
Mhm.
if you don't own assets, you get sunk and you have this K-shaped
And
economy.
who do we owe this debt to again?
I'd say China and UK is the second largest holder. Japan is after that.
I mean,
I
come
thought Japan was
on, come
first and
on.
China was second.
Yeah, no, Ian's
Actually,
good.
I thought it
UK
was
is the
Japan,
second.
China, UK.
But it's actually like then if you look at the largest debtor is Cayman Islands, which is all of the funds and
Yeah,
the
Britain's
yeah.
second empire is going through all these havens, all these tax havens. But what Simon said about owning assets is for the audience. Like that's very, very important. I can't be stressed enough. Like if you don't own assets, you will be inflated away. The middle class is going to disappear. Do not hold your dollars. Don't hold dollars. Don't hold any currency. I recommend commodities. I don't know what other people recommend, but I recommend gold and silver. But yeah, just don't put it in fiat currency.
If you're allowed
Simon,
on the exchanges, just buy some Bitcoin and sit on it. There's really nothing that's going to go up
Yeah,
faster
Bitcoin's
than
cheap.
that.
Yeah.
exactly. And Simon, you know why I'm more
I'm not
convinced?
allowed to do that, but like if I was, that's what I would have been doing decades ago.
You're not allowed on the Japanese or South Korean exchanges.
They didn't have any until recently.
Oh no,
And
they've
no,
had
I'm
them for
not allowed
years.
on
The
them.
Japan was the
I'm not.
first exchange ever.
Yeah, I was banned on BitThumb, which is a Korean one. Japan went really tight on regulations, and you had to be like a citizen. Da 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 da. Wasn't allowed, and now it doesn't matter. It's like,
Ryan, everything's
but
moving.
if I wasn't banned on everything, well, like if I was not banned on shit, I would just be on YouTube and be a millionaire. Like there's a lot of ways that I'd make money if I was allowed to. It's not like I don't know how, but it's like, well, I can't do that. You can. I can't. I can't use I can't use Coinbase or any of that shit. Like, but if you can, which is like 99.999% of people, just buy some Bitcoin. You that's the new Beanie Baby. Like, get in there. It will go up. That's your new blue chip stock. If I could for all three of my sons, I would just buy Bitcoin, and there's your college. Like it'll go down sometimes, but on the whole, it's going up. This would be like buying Google right when it came out. Like, get it. That's what you want.
Right, Simon, you know why I'm even more convinced that that things will keep as we know, I keep saying as long as M2 money supply goes up, which needs to go up, Bitcoin will go up. Well, now when I really start looking and why I said we're at least in for another 20 years of war, innovation always sparks war, right? Steam, Napoleonic War, mechanization, World War One, nuclear power was a theory popularized before World War Two, like, and now AI. Then you have when empires fall. Typically, there's war, not always, but a majority of the time we never have a 500% increase in inflation like we just did in 2020 and not have 30 years of war. That is the norm when you have that kind of increase in inflation because people fight for resources because of inflation. Poor countries will go against richer countries in order to get the resources. And then you have Zionists sacrificing red heifers trying to bring it all on earlier. I think you're pretty safe that Bitcoin's going to be $1 million by 2035, because U.S. will have to keep printing more and more and more every single year, and those are the four reasons why.
I'd hate this. I hate it begrudgingly saying this, but Elon Musk is right about the debt being the super issue. And my hope is that you get an Elon backed Thomas Massey for 2028.
Couldn't agree more. Could not agree more.
Otherwise, I don't see a real, like, we're not going to stop aid to Israel. We're not going to register APAC under FARA. We are going to war with Iran again. Like, all this crap's inevitable without a leadership change. And Massey's the only one. They all do it. Both party, he's the only one, and he'll never get elected unless the richest man in the world has his back. Then that's exciting, and it's like Elon doesn't care about Zionism or any of that. Elon doesn't care about a lot of things, but he does care about the debt, and if he will back Massey because of that issue, serendipitously we'll get all the other good stuff. Like if we got rid of this Zionist parasite, so many things. It's like it's hard to imagine what the world would be like without it. Like how great things would be.
But I think he's come out and there's reports that he's going to back Vance, and I think that's something we predicted a long time ago that he was going to
Yeah, I
back
know.
Vance. But Simon, just
Sucks.
in it, and I think that's because they're all part of the same crew. But Simon, you disagree with Joe, right? You don't think that and Ryan, I guess, that you don't think there's going to be war, right?
Oh no, there's going to be war. There always has to be war. You can't. You just got to move it somewhere else. So I believe that. I believe that we're not going to. No, I don't believe the war with Iran will happen. I think it's going to all be Europe, and then I think America's going to come after Latin America and South America. I think that there is a different vision for the Middle East, and I think America will be working with the Gulf states and something. Yeah, I mean, maybe. I don't see Iran being the one where it happens.
It'll settle who's in charge, America or Israel.
That
I
is
guess.
working with the Gulf states. They are sending carriers and things towards Venezuela. There's already war in Europe with Ukraine, but Israel bombed Yemen. Their troop rotation. I said this when last time I was on Sully, but they come back in September. They will reinvade Lebanon, and Iran's still on the chopping block. And you're like, yeah, but they can't win that. I'm like, that doesn't matter. Like, it's what Israel wants. It's what Israel's going to get. We said this last time. I was like, they're going to go to war with Iran. It's not the MIC. It is the Zionists. They are going to get what they want. And that's what U.S. policy is going to do. It's what it's always done.
I,
And after the fact, we're like, oh, yeah, well, they're just we're not there because of the missile manufacturers or whatever. We're there because of Zionists. That's why they spend millions and millions of dollars lobbying Congress to get their way.
yeah, I think it's actually structured into the post Bretton Woods system that America needs to continually be at war. So people talk about Afghanistan not winning because it was 20 years, spend $2 trillion, but Afghanistan was a mechanism for stealing $2 trillion from the American taxpayer and creating that socialism for corporations, because the $2 trillion went to the companies. And so victory is just continually feeding the socialism for American corporations as opposed to winning.
100%. And another element there is it liberated the opium, and that narcotics budget is black market, which allowed the CIA to finance private mercenary armies, which is what they did in Syria. The same way they used narcotics money to finance Contras in Nicaragua, with Israel selling contraband to Iran, as well as the drugs. They took the opium out of Afghanistan. We had an opioid crisis in the United States. 100,000 people died. That's like several Vietnams. 100,000 people died from the opioid crisis, from this liberated heroin. And they used the proceeds to pay for HTS to destroy the sovereign country of Syria by paying a bunch of, and we were partners with your Gulf Arabs in that too, to destroy Syria. So it wasn't just the above board money that they profiteered out of Afghanistan. It was the dirty underbelly, because they're not going back into Vietnam. So they went in and got the poppy fields somewhere else to pay for black budgets. It was a win. Like, if you look at it from, well, the Taliban's still in charge, blah, blah, blah. Well, that was never the goal. The goal was to have a medium to waste money on and sell it to the public of, like, we're chasing around Osama bin Laden or something because he did 9/11. So we're attacking the Taliban in Afghanistan because Al-Qaeda. It didn't matter. They're all towel heads to the public. Can't tell the difference. It's not just the public. People in Congress are like, they attacked us in 9/11. Like, no, they didn't. Afghanistan and the Taliban had nothing to do with September 11th. But they're like, but bin Laden's there. Like, oh, he's physically there. Actually, he was in Pakistan. But, oh, okay, so he's in that country, so we're going to overthrow it and have a regime change. How stupid. I want to withdraw from all these wars, just invade Canada. That should be the plan.
Yeah, and who was behind that opioid crisis, like you said, 100,000 people dead.
Yeah, Sacklers.
The
Yeah.
Sacklers,
Yeah.
yeah. You know, they call the Tel Aviv University Medical School, they call it the Sackler School of Medicine because of how much money they've donated there. So, you know, they're Israeli patriots, and they did a good job for Israel, you know, of poisoning America.
You know, Israel does have patriots. We don't.
Good point. And they stick.
And now, would they
they
bomb
work
another
for us.
hospital today, Sully? What's going on? It just makes my stomach turn.
Yeah, it was basically what they'd done was the Al Nasser Hospital, as you know, is the only last operating hospital. Even then, it's on his knees when it comes to operation. So they did a double tap on it, Ryan. So they basically bombed, and then when journalists and medical and aid workers were going to save them, they bombed them again. But they caught it on camera, so they had to pretend like it was an accident.
It's crazy how they can just apologize and everything's forgiven.
I'm surprised they didn't say it was a Hamas misfire. Remember when they bombed the courtyard? Like, we didn't bomb the hospital. Like, oh yeah, you bombed the courtyard. Everyone's gathered around the hospital thinking maybe they won't bomb here. and they hit it with the J dam. That was also recorded. You could hear the sound. Do you remember this? Or like early in the war, and they're like, "Oh
Yeah,
no,
Al
that was a
Ahly.
Hamas rocket that like U-turned and came back and hit." Bullshit.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was like
I did
yeah.
a thread on that. It was Al Ahly Baptist Hospital. You're right, Ryan.
Back when
Sorry.
they used to make excuses for hitting hospitals, and then they proceeded to bomb every single hospital after that. You know, so
Yeah, it was
didn't
an
even matter.
Anglican hospital that everybody reported as Baptist for some reason. But yeah, I remember it now. And it's like they blamed it on Hamas. They're like, Hamas. Someone just said, like, yeah, they can just go, oops, and all is forgiven. It really doesn't matter. Like, people all thought I was being sarcastic. Like, Netanyahu could go up on stage and eat a baby and blame the baby. And Christian Zionists would be like, yep, it was just going to grow up to be the next Hitler.
Well, yeah, I agree with you. I think with this one, the issue actually, to be honest, even if you remember with the Al Ahly Baptist Hospital, they bombed it, and then they basically initially came out and actually took credit for it, right? If you remember the Naftali guy, and a few others came out and literally said, "Yeah, we bombed it because Hamas was there." And then when the blowback was huge, they backtracked and lied and said that they didn't bomb it. Obviously, we exposed it, as you said, Ryan, through like various threads, through listening to the noise of the J Dam and various other things, and also looking at the angles of the bomb and at the time the statements that were made. But then they backtracked and pretend they didn't bomb it. In this situation, it was very similar. They came out and literally said, "Yeah, there was a Hamas camera on the hospital building," so they were trying to.
It was not a Baptist hospital. It was an Anglican hospital. And I just said that. And then he's like, Al Ahly Baptist Hospital. It was not a Baptist hospital. It was not a Baptist hospital. It was not a Baptist hospital. It was an Anglican hospital. Talk to the deacons and everything. It's okay to get that wrong like once, twice, maybe, but it doesn't. It bothers me. I know this is like, well, who cares? It's a small detail. It bothers me when I correct somebody and offer evidence, and they just keep saying the wrong thing. It's like a glitch in the brain. Anyway, I'll get back to it. We have something going on StreamYards where, yeah, okay, here we go. They've changed everything.
Take the camera out. But then some Israelis came out and just admitted that they were trying to kill the rescue workers, so they had to kind of blag it.
Yeah, as if Hamas just rolled out an artillery piece in the courtyard and was firing from a hospital. Like, come on. They just say, "Oh, why'd you bomb that house?" Hamas. Hamas had a weapon in there. They had a tunnel under it or something, and they bombed everything. You look at aerial photos, Gaza City. Oh, it was Hamas in every house because you hit every house. This is total ethnic cleansing. It's a genocide. And they're like, well, it's not a genocide. But you don't wait till the genocide's finished to call it a genocide. You say it as it's happening. You don't wait till they're all dead and then go, oh, now it's a genocide. Like, they are genocidal maniacs. And they believe that land belongs to them. They have God ordained racism. And unfortunately, America pays for all of it.
You know what's crazy, Ryan, is a lot of them have been coming out with these statements, not statements, some videos of like expensive restaurants and trying to, or expensive, yeah, food outlets and making it look like it's in Gaza. And it's like, you have to think that people are retarded. Like,
because they are retarded. The Al Ahly Arab Hospital in Gaza was founded by the Anglican Church in the ministry in 1882. It was later returned to the Anglican Diocese of Jerusalem, which managed it to this day, which, of course, it was bombed by God's chosen lunatics. It matters to Anglicans, it's one of the oldest churches in Gaza that, with continuity. 1882 by the Anglican Church. Syrian Girl called it Baptist. Sully calls it Baptist. They all keep calling it Baptist. And I'm like, do you guys not check what you're saying? And this really doesn't, if it had been Baptist, it's not a big difference, you know, but I see this happen with other things where someone will say something and then everyone repeats it and it's uncorrectable. It's like, that's not true. That's not true. Once the story's out, and they just did it. And it shows you how many people are just repeating things, not reporting things. And there's a difference. There's no analysis done. There's no checking. Is this true or not? They just go. It makes me mad because I've corrected it so many times and it doesn't matter. It just doesn't register. There's nothing I can say. You can look it up online. It's the Anglican Church. It definitely is. And they just keep saying the same wrong thing.
If you look at the visuals from the air of Gaza, like how would anyone think that there's a brand new operating restaurant?
But that's the problem. People are retarded.
That's
Like
Yeah, we had one
that
on the
kind of
space
propaganda
earlier.
works because people have their belief is based on ideology, not reality. And so if they don't want to believe Israelis are starving people to death and all, they go, look, I saw a video of a new restaurant. It must be true because that matches my faith.
Yeah,
Faith meaning their
we had a
ideology.
Tommy Robinson supporter here earlier, Ryan, and he was exactly how you described. Yeah, he just believes what was comfortable to believe.
Yeah. And, you know, Obama was the master of this because he would do totally abstract, vague statements like, I'm for hope and change, which lets you fill in the blank for what hope and change you want to whatever is psychologically gratifying. Doesn't have to match reality at all. And of course it doesn't. And like, just give them more time. You know, that's what they say. And all these maggots for Trump, I don't know what they're expecting. I get it, better than Biden, so what? But I think they honestly thought he was gonna do things for them. Oh yeah, they're gonna deport 55 million immigrants. Like, that's not happening. They're not doing any of that stuff. And it's harder for Trump this time around because the X has been liberated. Before, no one could criticize anything for Biden or Trump. Now that Elon's there, they're all having a hard time. And I know Elon's weird. He's got 14 baby mamas and he's I know all that. But he is 1,000% better than Jack Dorsey in the last regime. Like, we are allowed to talk about these things to a degree. You will get punished. You'll get your check mark removed. Some people are still banned, but it's vastly improved from what it was. And free speech is the direct enemy of government, actual free speech, not the one they just did, but you're not allowed. And it's getting really bad in states like Florida. Like that, DeSantis is just, he's on the Gaffy meter with John McCain. Gaffy means grabs ankles for Israel. They've taken over. And now they have a Star of David license plate. I mean, holy crap. And I'm all for it. I'm like, you know what? Show your cards. Like, let everyone see. Do the hubris thing. Because I don't see it realistically a way reversing it unless they just overplay their hand, which is what they're doing. They're in the find out stage.
Ryan, what's your thoughts
I
on?
think they should wear the kippah. I think even when they're not Jewish, like, they should still wear it. Put a little spinning helicopter blade on it or something. They're a bunch of clowns. Like, let everyone see that you're just beholden to a lobby, possibly sexual blackmail. Just put all the cards on the table.
Yeah, I mean, Randy fans are regular wearer of the kipper. But Ryan, what's your thoughts on this? Because I never heard your thoughts on it. And actually, I'm interested in what you think. Obviously, everyone's heard my opinion. But on this Trump and what he's doing in Washington in terms of bringing basically taking over Washington. What's your thoughts on that?
Oh, I hate Yankees, so I didn't care. I'm like, yeah, it is. There are a bunch of homeless tents and stuff, but it's kind of like starting the story in the middle. You can't just then move them all out and what? where do they go? They're just homeless tents somewhere else. I mean, you're just relocating the problem to a new location. You have to, if you really want to address that issue, most people who are homeless because they're drug addicts. Like, you've got to tackle the drug issue if you want to solve that problem. And like, oh, look, we confiscated guns. Like, you can print a gun. Like, you're not going to win that way. And you can't just like take the military and move them out. It's probably good for the residents of DC to walk outside and not have shit on the sidewalk, like actual fecal matter, I'm saying, and tents and harassment and all that. But they're not in jail or something. He just moves them away. I don't know. I don't think you can clean up a problem like that. I think they got much deeper rooted issues for why this is, and you have to strike the root. And it sets a bad precedent to allow the military or National Guard to go in and do anything in the city. Like, dude, you're getting really close to martial law. This is, and I hate fucking hobos and stuff, but you can't allow this. It's a slippery slope.
Yeah, that's my biggest concern of it. It's almost like the start of a totalitarianism. If you want to have this kind of um, this level of control over society, once you give government this level of power, it's massively concerning. In terms, and
I
I
think the counter argument is the police are supposed to be going after these hobos and they're not. So like they're trying to do the cop's job for them, whatever. Well, like who defunded the police? Like DC was defunded. So the cops are like, I'm not, why? No, you gave me a pay cut. I didn't see nothing. They're like, you can't defund the police. And this whole BLM movement that was around, like, yeah, let's get rid of cops. Like, okay. And now your city's trash. You know, I hate dirty cops, but you know what I hate more? Dirty criminals. You pick one, you know, I'll pick the police.
yeah, but I do think that I know what you're saying in terms of the crime rate was quite high, but I still think it's a problem. You've got to improve. Then the police, you've got to improve, as you said, the homelessness issue. But to have a federal takeover is, as you said, martial law, or is like basically totalitarian control. Is literally the government having complete control over the entire area. And then when you look at the mechanism by which they do it, such as, for example, using Palantir software and various other things, you have an additional layer of huge problems and huge concerns about where
Yeah.
society is going.
It's a test ground. I think DC is like unique because like is that Virginia or Maryland or whatever? Like it's DC. Like they don't have a state government like everyone else.
It doesn't need a governor's permission. Yeah, sorry, Ryan, go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just saying like DC's kind of a unique city compared to anywhere else. But at the end of the day, like I'm being honest, and I probably shouldn't have these opinions, but I'm like, fuck DC. Like that place is so gone that it doesn't matter. It's just like you're just shifting the shit around in the toilet. It really doesn't matter if it's on the left, the right, in the middle. It's still poop. You know, like DC is a failed city, and I love that politicians have to drive through that and live through that and look at it and like this is the capital city, and anybody that comes to visit the United States, they look out the window, they're like, oh my God, it looks like a Rockstar game, what they call it, the Grand Theft Auto. I mean, it's just like it is bad. Homelessness everywhere, tent cities, things are destroyed, graffiti, like just you can't go outside alone at night, especially if you're a woman. Like it's just like that's America, baby. Like that's what our capital ought to look like. We
But
don't
that's
take
what
care
I
of
say. Isn't that
ourselves.
all of America? Like, I don't know where there isn't a huge amount of
Of
homelessness.
course not. It's not really. I'm just saying this is our capital. Like this is what you get from government. That's the government city, and that's what it looks like. A swamp.
I mean, one thing is just one thing I'll be honest with you, I loved about Washington was the museums. Like, I was like, I need more time here. The like museums in DC are just on another level. Um, so I mean, that's what I liked about DC. But in terms of coming back to it, I mean, I agree with you in terms of homelessness. It's shocking. Like when you're not from the United States of America and you come to the United States of America, it's like hard to describe because people just think homelessness. We have homelessness in the UK, But when you look at the homelessness in the US, it's just a whole different stratosphere. It's people struggling significantly. They almost look like zombies. They're like shivering from. They look like they're about to die. Like for us, like because we're not used to it as much. When you see it, or when I
You're
saw
on
it the first time,
benzos. They look like. But have you been to the museums recently? There,
I
it's
think
actually
I went about a couple of years ago.
okay. Well, that's good to hear because I was there maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and it was the Native American Museum. Like my brother's museum is better than the one in DC. It was just sad, and it had incorrect information and stuff, and it had just random shit. Like there was a canoe on the ceiling from like the Western Indians, and below they had something. It was just like totally disorganized, like the Indian, like all of them. It was so bad. Smithsonian, like my family has a section in the Smithsonian, and yeah, but it used to be much better.
It was good
Was
though.
impressed with
But
those until
Smithsonian
I
was
went
good.
abroad. I saw the museums in the UK, and I was like, okay, our museums suck. This is so much better.
Oh yeah, like don't get me wrong. Like the museums in London are just brilliant as well. Like in London,
I mean, they
Washington,
have
New
stuff
York.
stolen from all over the world. It's just so impressive.
Exactly. Yeah, you're right. You're right. That's what makes it. It's like going to museums throughout the world, but just going to London because you just need to go there to see it all. Um, but in terms of like the homelessness, I agree with you, and I think that's a major issue. But like you don't tackle, like as you said, you don't tackle that by doing what Trump's done, because where have the homelessness people gone? That's not solved the issue. That's just removed it from the wherever the location, the center of DC is, and just the powers that it's entailing is highly problematic. And it goes back to the same point you said, Ryan, that in reality the main issue is there's just not enough money being spent on Americans. This is just way too much money that's going to Israel and various other countries. When you go to the US and you're not from it, you just be shocked and like you feel sad that people are working so hard and like the government doesn't care about them.
Dude, it's not even have to be homeless. There's like borderline homeless. I was just in Raleigh, and I went into Walmart. My son wanted to see the guns. So I was like, yeah, you can buy a gun in Walmart. Haha. But what was more interesting is the 300-pound women and stuff walking around. And like, you guys are dying of sugar. It's like they've just given up. Like they don't care. Um, they just stuff their face with food and drugs because they have no economic mobility. They're not going anywhere. They just want to, they're addicted to vicarious living on Netflix or whatever. And they're all drug addicts. And it's just disgusting. And there's no hope. And they're like, raw. But do you think, and not that this is intentional, because I don't think he planned this out, but Trump is kind of doing a Jonathan Swift type thing here, like by invading DC. Now we're all talking about DC. Like, yeah, we should do something, but not that. But we ought to do something about the homelessness and da 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 da. Like he's got the discussion going. Not that that's what he's trying to do, but look, we're here talking about it. That problem's been persisting for a long time, and we were just kind of like, well, it's DC. We do need to do something. But the problem is we don't have any intelligent people in government that will look at the roots of the issue and actually do anything about it. They won't admit the relationship between that and the war in Afghanistan and dumping opioids all over the street. And now they have the new shift. It's not heroin anymore. It's fentanyl. And it's like, well, why is there a demand for fentanyl? They don't ask that. They're like, you could slip fentanyl in anywhere. It's liquid. You bring like, why do so many people want to do that drug and the benzoids and all that? You can buy drugs online. They're not cracking down on it at all. They're not cracking down on sex trafficking at all. There's things like everybody opposes and they do nothing about it. Like, where is the policing on these things? And where is the funding for that? Well, it went to Ukraine or, Israel or whatever. They can't admit their problems because people were like, well, we need to raise taxes for this. They're like, no, we don't. We need to quit paying for Patriot missile systems in Tel Aviv. That's what we need. I got to bounce. I appreciate it, man. It's a fun discussion.
No, I appreciate you coming on.
I'm getting right on Empire and Mass. I got a deadline that I arbitrarily made for myself for 9/11, so I'm trying to get her done.
Yeah, it's got to be done. It's got to be done. I wish I had that level of discipline. Like every day, I'm like just wasting days on finishing this book. So I know it's
Join a Tate school, man. They'll kick you in the ass. That for me, like I know myself, like some people don't need that. They're just totally self-disciplined or whatever. Like I kind of enjoy having a coach that doesn't even need to know what I'm doing. Just be like, what'd you get done today? You know, that for me, it helps. So for some of you, that might be something to look at.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty disciplined. I think it's just my issue is this: was there's certain things like just sit because I'm a bit weird like that. Like when I'm writing a book, I have to like just zone in and write it, and then having these breaks when you have to come and do it in the space, it kind of just kills your thought process a bit. So it's just an issue like that. But I guess everyone's different. Some people can do it in blocks. But yeah, we're looking forward to Empire on what's it called? Empire on what?
Write your book, Sully. I'm gonna start reminding you every day. What'd you write today? What chapter did you do? I'm gonna do
How
it.
many
I'm
pages?
gonna come harass you.
Ryan, I'm on 50. I'm on 50 pages. Ask me for an update tomorrow. I'll tell you.
All right. See you then.
Appreciate you, guys. We're looking forward to Ryan's documentary. It's gonna be fire. It's gonna be exposing the 9/11 and Israel's role in it.
Welcome to the woke and gay. Transformers are in charge, hey, hey. The girls' room is full of men. They're grooming your children. Or we'll just let them